I'm Dr. Bart Rademacher, and this is Prescription for Your Transformation, Real People, Real Conversations, and Real Success. In this really short series with Jennifer Dalton, we talked about her series, a podcast series of interviewing other luminaries, people that we can model so that we have more examples of what it is that we can do. But my favorite interview with her was about her and the chopping block, connecting, personal transformation with the right kind of foods, and how that actually works physiologically, but also mentally. And so I'm going to shift my strategies on this one with Jennifer Dalton, and I'm going to put her on the chair. And so let's see where this goes, and hopefully we won't see her just suddenly disappear. So Jen, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome, Bart. Thanks for having me.
I love the fact when people like yourself, are jumping in, head first into the world of personal development. I mean, you've come from a background, of cooking, of the culinary arts, and then also, very much engaged in the hospitality industry with a love and care for other people and connection, and that's so much fun. But the truth is that we're all going on this hero's journey, and we're looking to, fight the dragons, not the lizards, not those little things you can just step on, but the big ones, right? And that's where we get to be witness, and that's where we get to be vulnerable. And it's interesting because so many people are just absolutely resistant, reluctant, in denial or delusion of the need for them to do that deep work. As I was actually, well, not quite. I just didn't know what was possible. I studied for 17 years in the medical industry. I did the Greek classics and Jean-Paul Sartre and Rousseau and all those, but all that just went over my head. It was just too complicated, right? But the world of personal development makes it so much easier, makes it so much more relatable, because it brings it down into the component parts that we can easily grasp. And that's why it's so exciting. And I'm always so surprised why people aren't doing it. So my question for Jen, right? So I'm putting you on the spot. What are you finding are some of the hardest things to overcome?
When you said that, you had said a few words that kind of like made me think of, like, when you said denial, or I think that was the one, because it reminded me of, can you just say the question again? I'm sorry.
What do I need to give you some Kleenex right now? Are you going to cry or not?
I know, I'm already like getting emotional.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So what are some of the hardest things you've had to work through?
I would say what brought me into this space, like, originally, was a really low time in my life. What do they call it? Like the dark night of the soul type stuff.
Right.
To where I was just really miserable within my workspace, and just knew that I had to make a change. And, I went to school for science and put myself through college, and it was like hard for me, but like I was realizing that I didn't feel like it fit, after I accomplished the goal, but I just didn't feel like I wanted to get into that space. And I was heavily, an addict at that point, using alcohol to kind of mask some of those feelings. And I think it was just to actually be able to get into the space. First of all, it was a gift. I don't know if it was from the universe or my family member, but accepting help. If somebody suggests something that might help you. Some of the hardest things that I've saw since that were just like huge lessons of, it's really hard, like when, like we were talking about earlier, like when you play the victim, or you feel like, oh, my life has been so hard, or I've had to go through so much stuff, and why me? Or I try to do the right thing, but the stuff keeps like trying to knock me down, like I don't understand it. But then, like, shifting your mindset, it's hard for me to talk about like how to not do it, because I feel like I know what to do now.
Right.
I have the tools. So I think just surrender would probably be the hardest part. Just surrendering to it and like embracing the suck. Makes
Embracing the suck, right? No, you're spot on with everything. And you know, you actually asked me before this show, you know, what's my favorite thing to talk about. And I also recognize exactly what you say. I mean, I've been in this personal development world for the last 20 years, and I jumped in, you know, with a very negative attitude towards it because I didn't know it at that time. In fact, I was extremely resistant, and I thought, you know, Tony Robbins was a charlatan because I would see him between the Ginzu knives and the Tupperware on HSN, and I associated Ginzu knives and Tupperware with him, which,
hilarious.
you know, which he did very well with that, by the way. So kudos to him. But I had this concept. I was wired to think this way. And I think that's the big problem that so many people have. You're wired in such a way because this is what people have taught you. This has been all these experiences. And we're locked in this kind of certainty. And you just don't want to let go because in a world of so much uncertainty, you've got to grab onto something. And that's what I was doing. And then with tremendous resistance and reluctance, I was dragged to a single day event in Tampa, Florida, back 20 years ago, actually, or a little less than that. And I already had my exit strategy. I mean, I went with a group of people. I had my exit strategy. I was 10 chairs away from the exit. You know, you could barely see the stage over here, but I was okay with that. I didn't mind to have a bad seat. Normally I'm like front row, center, but this time I was all the way to the side. I could barely see the guy. And then literally within about 10 minutes of that experience, I knew my whole life was changing. It was just probably the hugest pivot point in my life. And I saw this whole world of opportunity, the whole world of potential that I knew that I had within me. And here's one man within 10 minutes told me what was possible. And ever since then, it's been an exciting journey, as well as all the other stuff that I've done. He's not the only guy out there. There's so many other wonderful people out there and making a difference for all of us. But we just have to engage in it. But I think what you're saying is spot on, is that we're wired to think, you know, depressive thoughts about who we are and how we fit in society. And part of it is, you know, we're being told that everything should be easy. And that's what I'm concerned about with all of politicians today. They're kind of saying, look here, have this, have this, have this, have this. When in reality, you know, we all should be saying, nope, I don't want any of that. I got to do the work. If I want to find my true happiness, I've got to do the work. So don't coddle me. Let me do the work. And I think that's what you're saying. Would you agree?
Definitely, yeah. That's great insight, and like it makes me think a little bit more about like just changing your story. Like if like for me, like I don't know, how could you make the story better? And you know, it's I'm still working through things because like I try to be positive and I'm like, well, I don't try, I am positive. And but then it's like I listened to Jay Shetty a couple of weeks ago, and he had one of his monk friends on, and he was talking about like how sometimes there's like a false sense of positivity.
Right.
And I get that, but I'm like some days, you know, I'll sit and I'll cry about something, but then I'm like, all right, 90-second rule, like I'm over it, feel it and let it go. But can you maybe like elaborate more on that thought? Because I'm trying to like,
Well,
oh,
here's the thing. And I actually had a great interview with Jen Edwards, and she brought it up as well, is, you know, we have to face the dark side. You know, we have to explore it, and we have to be vulnerable to ourselves. And it's going to be scary. And, you know, as you said, and I think this is important, is the willingness and the openness to accept the support, to accept the guidance from others, and know that you're actually going to be better off with that. You know, we don't have to solve everything on our own. This was one of my faults before. You know, we don't have to do this alone. And, you know, we're wired, or some of us are wired, at least my generation is, you know, go figure it out yourself, right? I'm not going to help you. And so, okay, well, I got to figure it out myself. And so, but accepting that help and collaborating, like you mentioned earlier, you know, that's the route that we need to go. but we have to face our demons. We have to face this, the negative, the dark side, to get rid of that. You know, one of the things that I share with people is simply this: is that, you know, we all desire divine happiness, and if you want my favorite thing to talk about, that's that. You know, how, the path to divine happiness, and it's really quite simple. However you want to define divine happiness, but all you have to do is you have to remove whatever makes you unhappy. That's it.
Makes sense. I like
Right?
that. It keeps popping up to me like one of the first steps I took on the journey, this journey that I've been on, was deleting like any negative, whatever, like something that didn't feel right to me, or
Right.
I just didn't want to see it anymore. And it's like, I use meditation, but it's also like you have to be conscious of like what you're seeing, what you're feeding yourself, what you're feeding your mind like every day, because that stuff sometimes sneaks in and you don't even realize it.
Yeah, the famous quote of Jim Rohn, you'll stand guard at the door of your brain. You
Yeah.
know, both what comes in and what comes out too, right? But you know, there's so much negative talk, and it was interesting. I was just introduced to a new website. I forget what it's called, but it's where the news. It's now they tell you, all right, what percentage is on the left, what percentage is on the center, what percentage is on the right. And so there's a transparency in the kind of information that you're receiving. Because nowadays, you know, with all that misinformation out there, it's really hard to filter. And you know, I mean, the negative words, the scandals, the crises, you know, that's what sells. I mean, drama is
Yeah.
what sells today.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the wrong thing that we should be looking at. You know, everybody's blaming, really, quite frankly, guns as the root cause of violence. No, the people are the cause of violence, because we see enough people out there being violent without guns. But it's all those TV shows. I mean, nowadays, you know, when I want to watch a movie, I would say 80 to 90% of what's out there, it's all about killing people. It's like, guys, you know, give us something fun. Give us something that's constructive and emotional and generative.
I
And
watch a lot of romantic comedies.
yeah, exactly. And but the
Oh,
same thing with
realistic, but it's feel good.
right. No, it's feel good, and we need to feel good, because when you're bombarded with all that nonsense, then it's the energy that you're collecting that you have to let out, and then you get upset with others.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, you know what, Jenny, I really want to thank you for today. I know this is a little shorter video, shorter interview than usual. But you know, I want to put you on the spot, because oftentimes, you know, I'm getting all the information, all the gems, but we have to also experience, you know, for ourselves. We have to share with ourselves and with others, you know, the journeys that we go through. And oftentimes I'll get those in my interviews. But today I was excited to put you on the spot. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So I'm going to give you the last word.
So my last word is just follow your heart. I don't know. I think I'm just heart centered right now because I see the hearts in my background.
Right.
And do what makes you happy. Do what lights you up, because the world will be better for it, and it's just gonna be better all around for everyone,
Yeah,
including yourself.
do what you love, do what you're passionate about. You know, I'm going to add to that, you know, do what you're great at as well, what you're passionate about, what you're great at, and what the world needs.
Yeah.
If you intersect those three circles, it's awesome. And I'll add one qualifier to that, and this is from the Waitaha Indigenous tribe in New Zealand, the oldest one, probably one of the oldest tribes worldwide. They're the water bearers, and their main mantra is do no harm. And if we can come from that place, from love, passion, need, and do no harm, wow, this world will be a better place. We could collaborate together, and we can do that. We don't have to tear things down. I mean, it's sort of like what we've learned from Tony Robbins. You know, I believe, do not doubt. I create, do not destroy. You know, if we all started focusing on that kind of stuff, things would be so much better. Jen, thank you so much. And I am Dr. Bart Rademacher, and this is Prescription for Your Transformation. Real people, real conversations, real success. Bring to you delightful conversations from beautiful souls around the planet that can help us navigate the the craziness, the obstacles, the challenges, the confusions, and dark spots in our lives. So Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Dr. Rademacher's Prescription for Your Transformation. Continue the path towards discovering your own authentic genius by tuning in next time for more real conversations with real people.